of the Oyster River School Board. We need to move into a non-public session at the beginning of this meeting, so I will make a motion to move into a non-public session according to RSA 91-A:3, Section 2C, discussion of matters that are likely to adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a school board member. Can I have a second? Heather? And a roll call vote, please.
Brian Cisneros, yes.
Matt Bacon, yes.
Heather Smith, yes.
Denise Day, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate it. Before we move on with the agenda, we're going to listen to a performance from the high school strings, and I'll introduce Andrea Van Ooyen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us today. I know I'm going to speak later, but I just wanted to kind of show you all some of the things that we're able to do now that we have two string teachers. This is our high school select chamber orchestra. Students auditioned for this group, and this is a few of our members that are going to just play a very short selection for you today. We hope you enjoy.
Andrea, do you want to introduce them?
Yes. This is Ethan Boyson, Joshua Tomlinson, Eleanor Gelsey-Dries, Paige Staley, Eliza Hall, and Georgia Leone.
That was amazing. Thank you all very much for coming. I love a good pizzicato, and that was excellent. Excellent. Does anyone else? Okay. Thank you all very much. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Brian? And a second? Kelly? And we do have some changes. Denise?
Yes, we had discussed that we would bring the policies back to the policy committee, and that has not happened, so we need to remove the policies from the agenda.
Okay, we'll move that out of the discussion and action items. One other change, or actually, I don't think it matters at this point. Okay, so any other changes to the agenda? Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended? 7 in favor, 6 in favor, student rep in favor. Okay, and we have time now for public comments. Is anyone here for public comments? Please just make sure you state your name and what town you're from.
Thank you very much. My name is Bruce Fenton. I'm from Durham. I have 4 children in the school system. Just wanted to talk quickly about the budget again. It was only 6 weeks ago or so we were here talking about how there wasn't enough money for the teachers. And now we're talking about potentially a commitment of millions of dollars for expansion of the elementary schools, which was kind of surprising to me. When we had these conversations before, I started digging into the budget, and I was kind of surprised at how huge the budget is, and that there wasn't enough for what the teachers were asking for. And now the budget is even higher, as it is with many of the school systems in New Hampshire and throughout the country. And I mean, it just strikes me that, $58 million is just an extraordinary amount of money. I mean, you could buy a small fleet of Gulfstream jets for this much money. And the teachers aren't getting it. The budget has gone up every single year for a decade. The teachers aren't getting that money. They had to fight. They were very worried and very stressed out very recently about there not being enough money. And now we're talking about spending millions and millions more. And the excuse, I don't even understand how this really came about. I'm not really sure who's pushing it. But we know that people are going to potentially make a lot of money, maybe millions of dollars on this. And the reason is because of expansion. But enrollment-wise, the enrollment is kind of flat over both a 5 and 10 year period. So there's, and in going through the budget, as I mentioned last time I was here, there's just a lot of lack of transparency. There's these contracted services that aren't specified. There's millions of dollars that go to special needs programs. Doesn't really say who's getting that check. And our tax burden is already extremely high here in Durham, one of the highest not just in the state but in the country. And there's just a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of data that's missing. And I think you guys have the same data I have. And I think in good conscience, you can't really continue to vote for this extraordinary spending without knowing more about where the money goes. I suspect that there's probably millions that could be cut, but I can't make heads or tails out of it because the data is so opaque. So I would just urge you to please increase the transparency and remember that it is a very solemn responsibility that you have to your fellow neighbors and taxpayers who are already extremely burdened by these very, very high taxes. And what we mostly want to do is support the teachers and to have so much money spent on administrative and other costs that's not going to the teachers, I think is against what most voters would prefer. So I would just ask you to please do what you can to increase the transparency and give us better data to make these kind of decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We will move now to approval of the minutes from the February 19th regular meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes, Denise? And a second, Gianna. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented? 6 in favor. Okay, we will move on now to district announcements.
Good evening. It's nice to see you all again. It's really wonderful to be back in school after winter break. The kids come in so excited to share the fun things they did, and a lot of them have sun-kissed faces from being warm places through the break. It's really nice to be back at school with all of our kids and our colleagues. Prior to winter break, Massway celebrated Read Across America Week, which was a really huge success. I wanted to give a public thank you to David McCormick and the Read Across America Committee, who did extraordinary work to make the whole week fun and exciting in celebration of reading. That was really wonderful. This month, our students will continue to learn a variety of things in their classrooms, including weather units, penguins, fairy tales, immigration, national symbols. There's a lot of wonderful learning opportunities happening in the classrooms at Massway. Our fourth graders are currently working on an energy unit, designing sustainable tiny homes. I spent some time in fourth grade today. The students are just excited about it. They're learning a great deal, and that work will be able to be highlighted at the sustainability dinner in April. You will see the work that our fourth grade students at Massway have done then if you come to the sustainability dinner. In Unified Arts, our students just finished an integrated drumming unit where our music teacher and our PE teacher integrated a lesson and co-taught, which was a lot of fun. It was such a big hit that if you're coming to the faculty, on March 11th, there's a faculty performance, a variety of performances. You will see a group of Massway staff who will be doing the same sort of drumming that the students did through the drumming unit, so that will be fun. Some important dates just to share. We have a meteorologist coming from WMUR next week for some of the weather unit work that will be coming and meeting with a group of third graders. I want to make sure parents know there's no school next Friday. It's a professional development day, and Massway's PTO will be hosting a bowling event as a fundraising event, a fun activity for students and families since there's no school that day. And we will also have a Scholastic Book Fair at Massway, March 17th through the 24th. Students will go to the book fair during their regularly scheduled time to go to the library. And then 2 evenings will be a family opportunity, an opportunity for families to come out. That's March 18th and 20th, the Tuesday and Thursday of that week from 4 to 6:30. A lot going on at Massway in March. Questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, David Goldsmith from Moharamit. Thank you to Principal Sullivan for borrowing his glasses. We're a collaborative team. When we met in February, I told you about 2 events happening in the month of February. I wanted to give you some updates on them. We did have our Day 100 fundraising. We were able to raise $781 for the 3 organizations that have been supporting the animals that were continuing to follow on their year-long journeys: Save the Elephants, Saving the Blue, which supports sharks, and the Migratory Bird Initiative through the Audubon Society. So that was very exciting for our school. And we did have our grade 3 chorus concert right here in the recital hall. It was fabulous. They had a morning concert at school for all the students, and then they were here for the community, and it was a great evening of song and dance from around the world, again connected to our theme of journeys. This month of March, we're exceptionally excited because we began tapping our trees this week. I was with students today over at Powder Major Farm for the Gosses at the Goss Farm. We are exceptionally blessed to be able to collaborate with them and not only tap trees at Moharamit, but also tap the maple trees at their property, which is really special. We're tapping some trees that are about 150 years old, and 2 of their trees are some of the sweetest sap trees in the entire Seacoast region. For you sugarers out there, we sometimes get 5% out of that sap, which is pretty amazing. So sap was flowing all week long, and we'll continue to do that this week. And I really need to thank, of course, Jim Davis, who has been our head sugarer for so many years. Lizzie Higginson, a former Moharamit parent who's now a community member and continues to support our program. And last night we hosted about 12 family members at our Sugar Shack for our third annual boiling educational night, and we've really started to create a lovely community connection between a number of families who are learning how to run our evaporator, helping split wood, feed the fire, boil down sap, and really ensuring the continuity of this program for many years to come. So it's really been lovely. We'll finish up tapping this week, and then we'll start collecting and boiling, and our pancake breakfast is scheduled for April. April 5th, I believe, is a Saturday. Ramadan is over, and Passover has not yet begun, and we'll have a pancake breakfast, which will be totally awesome. And then we are celebrating reading. We're having a week of celebration of reading starting next week. We'll have a kickoff assembly this Friday, and then we have a number of events planned for next week, all school reading, visiting author Matt Forrest Essenwine, who came to Mastway in the fall, and we were very fortunate to be able to schedule him to come to Mohammed as well. Guest readers from the community and from our school, themes. It'll be a great week to celebrate our love of reading and the power of nonfiction and fiction. That's what I have. Questions, thoughts, comments? Awesome.
Thank you very much. Give his glasses back. They're over here, Bill.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm at the right place, and I have my glasses, so all's good. Bill Sullivan, middle school principal. We get a bunch of stuff in March as well. Misty mentioned it briefly. On March 11th, we have the Oyster River Cooperative School District Faculty Concert, which is going to be held right here in the concert hall. I'm sure Mr. Goldsmith's probably going to be part of that, playing in the faculty concert. I mean, Ms. Von Oyen, I'm sure she'll be there too. I can't say that I'll be performing, but I will be partaking in one form or another. That's 6 o'clock right here. March 13th, we have our Oyster River Middle School March Madness staff first student basketball game. We hold that right after school around 3:30 to 5 o'clock. That'll be at the high school gym. That's a big fundraiser for our 8th grade celebration night at the end of the school year. I think Misty mentioned March 14th, the teacher workshop day. We won't have any school for the kids. We'll be doing some great work here at the middle school. March 18th, okay, so this is a continuation of my last time I was here. I mentioned that we went and presented in front of the Board of Excellence for the New Hampshire Middle School of the Year. And I said I would let you know how we did, and we've done well enough that now they will be coming here and checking out our school, so we've moved up one step. And thanks to some of the folks behind me right here who presented with me and some other teachers, we have been, again, moved forward. So on March 18th, that committee will be coming here to see actually what goes on here at the middle school. So that's really exciting for us. We had a meeting after school today about and trying to fit, again, all the great things that we're doing and showing people that showcasing all the great things we do. It's a challenge, but we're looking forward to getting it done. March 20th, we have our Humanities Night. This will be the second year that we do a Humanities Night. It's an open house to the public to, again, showcase all the great things that our humanities do, from our world language programs to our unified arts to our language arts. Everybody's included. It's an amazing night. We've got displays going on. Last year was our first year, and it was an amazing night. So we're looking forward to another great night. That starts at 5:30. 5:30 to 7 is our Humanities Night. March 27th, our 7th and 8th graders will be taking the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. They'll be doing that in school that day. March 29th and 30th, it'll be our ORMS 7th and 8th grade spring play, and that's called The Secret Garden, and that'll be held at 7 o'clock on the 29th and at 2 o'clock on the 30th, and both shows will be at the high school. All right, any questions for me? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Rebecca Noe, Principal, Oyster River High School. First, I just want to give a huge accolades to the 30 artists that were there tonight, and their artwork is at the Durham Public Library, and the theme is creating connections. The artwork is absolutely amazing. You had drawings, you had paintings, you had pictures, you had sculptures, and our kids are so talented. So I just want to make sure that we mention that. And the opening was tonight, but it's there all month. So I know many of you were there, I saw you, but if you have a chance to go this month, I highly recommend it. New England's was this past weekend, and so Coach Ricciardi sent me the results for that. So our boys 4x200 broke their school record for the third time, running 1 minute, 34 seconds and some change. Mackenzie Cook was second in the 2 mile. Haley Kavanaugh and Maddie Cook ran really well in the mile, and Haley ran a little sick, she was ill. Avery Baumgart ran well in the hurdles. And then groups heading to nationals next weekend, our sprint medley relay, which is Mitchell Kesey, Micah Gedney, Owen Mazza, and Talon Ouellette. And then our distance medley relay is Avery Baumgart, Kenzie Cook, Maddie Cook, and Haley Kavanaugh. Kenzie is also running the 5K and possibly the mile. That's a lot. And then Haley is also running the mile. So progress reports are changed to this Friday. They were going to be before vacation, but with the 2 snow days and delays, we did announce that we were moving those so teachers and kids had enough time for assessments and getting those grades in. So progress reports will be posted after school this Friday. YRBS for us is going to be next Monday, so that's been in the newsletter for a couple weeks. I made sure kids knew that, and when I emailed them this past Monday, and parents can opt out by calling the main office if their student doesn't want to take that. And on the day, if a student doesn't want to take it, they can tell the teacher, and we have a room that they will go to and relax. And also the questions are choices, so they don't have to answer every question. It is a voluntary survey that they do. As mentioned, March 14th is a teacher workshop day. The senior scholarship packet was sent out in the last newsletter before vacation. It was also sent to seniors this past Monday. So everything is due by March 26th. So I want to make sure parents and seniors are aware of that due date for our local scholarships. Reminder that SATs and PSATs are coming up on April 9th. Freshmen will have a special day in curriculum that we're building for them, and seniors do not have school that day. So they can use the day to look at colleges, to catch up on work, to do community service, but that is their day of freedom. Freshmen through juniors are meeting with their counselors over the month of March to double check course requests, check it against graduation requirements, and that is their last opportunity to change anything before we actually make the schedules and go into that scheduling process. But over the month of March, counselors meet with every freshman, sophomore, and junior for next year's courses. And the last thing, we are having our 2nd annual college fair on April 15th. And so it's open to the whole school during advisory. We're hoping juniors and sophomores have a really good time. And last year we had how many colleges? About 100. And I know there's a few more that are coming this year. So it's really well attended by the colleges, and the students got a lot out of it too. So any questions for me? Yes.
Where do you put 100 colleges?
They fit in the gym. They're cuddled together. They like each other a lot. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any board announcements?
I just want to echo about the scholastic art and also writing, which there was excellent writing as well. It was just incredible to see the talent that we have. So congratulations to all the students who had work displayed.
I'm just going to reiterate something that Misty mentioned was the Sustainability Community Dinner is April 15th from 5 to 6:30 in the common room in the middle school. We didn't have a date for that at the last meeting, and I wanted to reiterate to make sure everybody knows, April 15th at 5.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Assistant Superintendent.
Just a few announcements before I introduce Bill and have him come back up. I wanted to just let everybody know about our teacher workshop day. So we do have a full day. In the morning, we will be spending the morning together doing some district-wide work with Dr. Schaps. And then in the afternoon, the high school and the middle school will be, the middle school will be working around some curriculum and assessment work with NHLI and continuing that contracted service work that they've been doing all year. The high school will be gathering and doing some department head work and some department work around their competencies and their standards. I also will be meeting with a group, with Shannon. Shannon and I will be meeting with a group of 9th and 10th grade teachers to engage in more conversations around transition from middle school to high school and to get some feedback and input from them. At the elementary level, we have a lot going on. We are still in the midst of program review for our K through 5 ELA program, and so that committee will be doing some more work with that. We have K through 4 teachers working on writing together and doing some grade level teamwork on using student work and calibration. Then we have K through 8 tutors in the district, some tutors, interventionists, specialists, some special educators, and others working with an individual from our Renaissance who is part of STAR. So STAR is owned by Renaissance, and they also provide us with other software that goes along with STAR. And so we have someone coming in to talk to them about data, mining data, looking at data, how they can utilize the tools within STAR and Renaissance to be able to support students and to be able to inform instruction for students within our multi-tiered system of support. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. We also have some work going on with our speech and language pathologists separate as well, which Catherine works very closely with them. So there's a lot happening on that teacher workshop day, in a lot of vertical work that's happening, and getting the elementary schools together also to work at the grade level. It's so important. So I'm looking forward to that. I also just wanted to let everybody know and to remind faculty that the call for summer professional learning is out, and we're hoping that people can complete that by the end of this week. There are district-wide focus areas, but also building focus areas as well, and that call for professional learning is for both the district work as well as individual building level work or collaborative building level work. The district work includes continuing our ELA program review and training, getting ready to pilot whichever programs are identified by the district. So that will be happening over the summer, and we're looking for teachers to participate in that. We have K through 12 math instructional practices work that we're going to be doing, and also 6 through 12 work within the math curriculum to really iron out our scope and sequence of not only content and skills, but also to really examine the competencies and the standards and how those align with the content and the skills. And we will be continuing our work with social studies curriculum. And also we are going to have a district-wide book read on AI, and hopefully a book group around AI, and possibly some additional professional development available related to that, AI in the classroom and harnessing and understanding what AI means to education and learning. Does anyone have any questions for me? Great. At this time, I'm going to invite Bill to come back up because he is going to introduce the student presenters that are here from the Middle School Student Leadership Committee.
All right, thank you. This is great. I'm really excited about this. I was asked to, bring something to the school board that, we're proud of and something we can share. And, this right away came to my mind. This is a group that we started last year. And, I don't want to say too much because I went in, we were working yesterday as a group. They just wanted to get together in 5 minutes. I told them exactly what I was going to say. They said, listen, you don't need to go there. We've got this. So I'm not going to give much introduction. I'm just going to say I'm really proud to, introduce our Student Leadership Committee from Oyster River Middle School. I don't know, we have some slides, but they're there, they're just not there.
Okay. It should be up soon. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We are members of the SLC, which is the Student Leadership Committee. And today we're going to be talking about what we do and our role in the community, and also some goals we have for the future. So I'm Julia. I'm an 8th grader, and this is my second year in SLC. It's been such an exciting experience working with my peers that have similar skills we want to focus on, and also being able to put our thoughts into action is a really amazing opportunity. And I'm really grateful for my time in SLC, and I'm definitely going to be bringing what I've learned with me into the future.
Hi, I'm Liam, and I'm also an 8th grader. And I'm going to share what SLC really is. So being a leader means that you're someone who steps up and takes initiative when no one else does. A student leader means much the same thing, but the problems that you're stepping up to solve are in your school. And SLC is a group of those student leaders who work together to solve problems in our school and community. This is my second year of SLC. It's also the second year of SLC. It was started last year. And we work on projects in our school to make it a more positive learning environment, and also outside of our school to connect with our community and work on our mission.
Hi, I'm Maram. I'm in 7th grade, and this is my first year in SLC. A group of SLC students and I created this mission inspired by posters that we made at the NELMS conference. And our mission is to promote positive communication with representation from all voices.
Hi, I'm Nora. I'm in 8th grade, and it's my second year in the Student Leadership Committee. These are some of the things that we've accomplished in the past year. I'm going to highlight the NELMS conference, though. So this was a conference that happened earlier this year, and we got to meet students from different schools that came to this conference. We got to hear their goals and their ideas for the future and what they thought it was to be a leader. And we got to grow and build our goals off of that. And it was really great to focus our mission on what it is now, which is raising marginalized voices. And it really grew our whole SLC as leaders, I believe.
Hello, my name is Ejo, and I'm in 8th grade. This is my second year in SLC. And so one of our goals for this year was to raise marginalized voices in our school community. So for example, we set up interviews with some of our staff members around the building to have meaningful conversations with them and get to know them a little more. Another goal of ours has been to continue building our leadership skills by exploring the meaning behind being a leader, such as leading by example and including others. And last but not least, we aim towards creating a better and more positive school environment through school-wide events and different initiatives helping our community. And we strive to create a more welcoming and supportive school environment where all voices can be heard and everyone can succeed.
So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
So thank you all very much. I really appreciate that. So how do you all work together to decide what you're going to set as your goal for the year and what you want to accomplish?
So we meet every Thursday morning to kind of go over what we've been talking about recently and what we sort of want to do to move forward. And I feel like that's a really good time for us to figure out what our next steps are. Do you guys want to add anything? Okay, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm just really interested in hearing about, and it can be from different individuals too, but what you individually feel that you've gained or you've learned actually from your experience being in this club.
Okay, so I feel like I've learned a lot more about what it really means to be a leader, because I feel like everybody talks about how they want to do that and be better at it, but we haven't really discussed what it actually means. But we've gone more in depth this year, I think, and we talked about how you have to maybe do something that other people could feel uncomfortable with, or reaching out to people that you normally wouldn't talk with and stuff like that.
So like a couple weeks ago, a speaker came in and he spoke to like the SLC, like by ourselves, like in a room just with the SLC. He spoke to the whole school before, but it was really cool to like listen to him, and he was like a leader himself, so he sort of got to reflect his experience. And he sort of also said the same things that Julia said about like standing out of place and like showing people what's right, even though like even if like no one else is doing it, and like yeah. So he brought those points up again.
I've learned a lot more about like working on a team and what it means to be a leader on a team when you can't do everything and you have to like organize a way for everyone on the team to work together in a productive way.
I've learned more about like taking action steps to like achieve like a goal or something. Like last year we did a food drive, so that took a lot of planning. Like, where are we going to donate these items to? How long is it going to be? What do we have to do to achieve this? And so through SLC, I've learned more about like how you can take these steps to reach your final goal and like reach success.
I've learned a lot of skills in SLC. I've learned how to be more kind to people than I usually was. I've learned to step up more often. I've gotten better at speaking to more people. Yeah.
Does anyone else have a question?
It's not really a question, it's a comment. So last year, it was on one of your slides, but you guys didn't talk about it, so I wanted to. Last year, during the superintendent search, I talked to everyone who came through, afterwards, asked them how their day was, and hands down, by far, every single superintendent candidate that interviewed at the district said that their hardest question and answer session was you all. Yeah. Every single one of them. So really great job.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
I think that's good. Thank you all so much for coming in. We really appreciate the work that you've been doing.
Again, I think, they do an amazing job, but I have to thank Jade Terrell, who's with them tonight, who is one of our leaders of our SLC, and she works with the kids with a couple other staff members. And
also have Sarah Gom.
And Sarah Gom.
And Andrea Lawrence are also all, they couldn't be here today, but they're also all SLC advisors.
Announce everyone, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'm just the one that was able to be here tonight, but Stephanie Caden, who's one of our counselors, Sarah Gom, another counselor, and then Andrea Lawrence, who's actually an 8th grade science teacher. The 4 of us are the 4 advisors for SLC. We're there every Thursday with the students, and they spearhead a lot of what you saw tonight too. So they're really the behind the scenes today.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for putting in the time to help give the kids this experience, to all 4 of you. Appreciate it. Okay, and now we will move on to, I'm sorry, are you all set to go?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm going to use a portion or majority of my time to encourage the 2 presentations this evening, but just to build off Suzanne's I would say, complete summary of the professional work that is underway and planned for. I will have the opportunity on the 14th to really support the launch of the strategic plan development process. And so using the World Cafe protocol, which is a wonderful protocol to engage stakeholders in, I would say, a discussion about ideas, to really generate ideas around focused questions. And so there's been some planning to bring our entire faculty together for the opening. We're going to have a nice breakfast and then convene our World Cafe that will be replicated in terms of the work with the board in April, as well as scheduling 2 community World Cafe events and starting to really gather data information that will help form the basis of the next strategic plan. So more to talk about, but looking forward to, on the 14th, to set things in motion with our faculty as a first group and administrators as well. I think tonight, what's nice on the, I would say, close to the eve of our annual budget vote is to kind of make the connection between the budget and the support by the board for our programs and staffing and how that plays out in the course of a year. And so tonight I'm pleased we've invited some staff and administrators to really talk about 2 particular staffing positions that were part of this current year budget that was supported by the board. And I think as we certainly hear from our presenters, to really make that connection between the through line between how the investment in people and programs really play out in our school system. So we're going to take things out of order, if that's okay, and invite Andrea back to start us off. And Andrea's going to really focus on the impact of the additional strings teacher position that was added through this budget to really support and I would say enrich, as you'll hear, our musical performing arts program. So Andrea, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for having me. March is Music in Our Schools Month, so I'm excited to present to you all at the very beginning of that month. Just a shameless plug, we have a concert on March 13th in here. The Middle School Chamber Orchestra, which is our select group at the middle school, our high school group that you just saw, and our full high school group will be performing in here at 6 p.m. on that day, the night before our teacher workshop day. So we're excited to put on a little Music in Our Schools Month. I wanted to start off by saying thank you for exactly what Dr. Scheps was just saying, which is the financial support of adding a new position for our orchestra program. This is my 11th year in the district. It feels like just yesterday I was teaching in that middle school cafeteria right over there, and now am able to myself focus on the high school, actually. So our new staff member, Carrie Young, focuses on grades 5 through 7. She also co-teaches the middle school chamber orchestra with me, and she mostly directs that herself. And she also teaches 8th grade general music, and I am able to focus on the high school. So this is just mainly to kind of show you all some changes and some things we've been able to do since having those two people on staff here. So we're able to provide all of these things, and I'll just briefly talk about each one, but co-teaching situations. So I'm able to help in her classroom, mainly down here, and come and help teach our before school group so I can get to know the middle school students as well, because that was one of the most beautiful parts of my job before, was I got to know kids from 5th grade all the way through 12th grade. It's a really unique position in the district. And that was one of the kind of sad things when I was getting a second person was, oh, it's 8th grade to 12th grade now. But now I get to kind of hang out with those kids. We get to help each other out, run sectionals, run smaller group things, which is really extremely helpful to the program and the development of each individual student's skills and musicianship. We can have a chamber orchestra, and you just saw them play. Thank you for letting them play for you, at the high school. So an advanced opportunity where that wasn't really present before. So I'm able to work with those students during Flex. They actually a lot of times self-run, and so they practice together, which is really wonderful. They develop those skills, interpersonal skills to work together, and sometimes I work with them. But they created that music mostly by themselves, which is really amazing, and I get to oversee that during that time. And I'm hoping that that might create a bigger opportunity for something even during the school day in the future. Collaborative learning, I just love that I've been able to do this. So Lisa Fan, who is our Mandarin teacher at the high school, she has asked us to be involved with the Lunar New Year next year, so we're hoping to be able to do that. This year I taught a songwriting class, and we were able to collaborate with the PEP program, which was so awesome. My high school students took books that the PEP program was being read, and they made songs out of them. They narrated over it. They created music. They actually went down and kind of played with the preschool students and kind of got an idea of like their clientele and who they were creating for. They sung. They created electronic music. It was really rewarding, and to see our older students interact with our younger students was really wonderful, and is one of the benefits of having both those programs in the same school. We're hoping in the future to do that with our elementaries as well in that class, and maybe have students in the elementary schools actually read those books and just kind of further that collaboration. Teaching new classes, so I get to hopefully teach a new class next year called History of Rock and Roll, which is exciting. It's a class I taught in my old district that I really wanted to bring here someday if I was going to teach an elective course at the high school. That also involves collaborative learning, so kind of collaborating with our social studies department, but also talking about the history in America and how that relates to the music that was created. Very project-based, and we have a lot of students in our high school that maybe don't fit into the mold of being in a traditional music ensemble, but a lot of them take all of these electives. We have students that come down and take every single non-ensemble elective. And this is a new one that a lot of them are like, oh, I can do that too. So that's great. So very excited about those new learning opportunities we're able to provide. Again, working with high school students during Flex, I was never able to do that before. So I have kids coming in to practice, again, furthering those skills. I was always kind of running back and forth, and so I wasn't able to fulfill that before, and now I'm there. I have an advisory there. I have Flex time there. I'm just there, so much more. And during Flex, we do a lot of advanced opportunities, differentiation. We have a Music Honor Society for the second year in a row now, which is exciting. Our officers meet during that time with both Mr. LaForce and myself. So there's just so much more opportunity for those extra really important things for a music program. We have 2 sections of high school orchestra now. Again, something I wasn't able to do before. And I think the students will tell you, and there was an MOR article written by one of the students that was up here playing, that it's taking some getting used to, because they're used to a really big group, and now it's cut in half. But I will say, I know that I can diagnose problems so much quicker, and we do get them to play together and put them together before concerts, which is definitely the challenging part, but it is really, really great for developing skills, and it creates more flexibility for their schedules as well. So there's lots of benefits to that. And I teach 8th grade as well, so bridging that gap is really wonderful. I can kind of recruit for the high school and talk about high school in a really real way, and kind of that bridge is really important in music. So we try to do that wherever we can. And I know that ratio of students to teachers is really important. So I was at the peak around 240 to 250 students for just me, where I did all the grading and all the teaching. I know I have Mrs. Riley as well, but the piece of teaching that is more report-based and meetings and all of that fell to me. So there was a lot of kids for just me, and then now you can see it's basically kind of cut in half. That was kind of the peak of the program there, and as we know, things kind of ebb and flow. So I have about 110 now, and Carrie has about 125 at this point. So that's kind of the big points. Does anyone have any questions for me about anything? Yeah.
So, Andrea, I think you've done an amazing job, and I love all of the opportunities, and it's really nice to see how this has progressed, and how you're able to kind of shape it. And I'd love to see, as we move forward, we've got students that are art inclined and musically inclined. We have a lot of really great AP opportunities for students in the academic sort of world, but maybe not so much in those higher reaching kinds of, arts and music. So maybe an opportunity, to kind of open up and look at and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We offer a theory course, but there is an AP. You're asking about those advanced placement opportunities in music. Yeah, so there are a few that are offered. And theory is one of them. So that is definitely a growth opportunity. Yeah, for sure. We're looking at all that stuff just kind of year to year, and what are we offering, and what is modern, what is relevant. We have a music production course now. Like, there's a huge demand for those types of things, as we all know. So how can we further kind of use our expertise to guide the students to this more modern music and upper level music? Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
I don't know if this would be, you said that Ms. Young was one who was teaching this, but I'd be curious to know kind of what's happening with the general music class, because that wasn't something that either one of my kids went through and it wasn't even available. So I'd like to hear more about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Carrie teaches that down here. I think it is such a wonderful place for a student to go if they don't want to perform. So we know we can connect with music in many different ways, and performance is only one of them. So we want to reach students, every student, and have them love music. So general music is a class that she teaches. She does a lot of Soundtrap, if anybody's familiar with that program. I use it in my songwriting class as well. So they create a lot of music. It's extremely project-based. She has a full curriculum that uses that. And students are creating music in kind of a group and smaller group and sometimes individual setting. So I would definitely want her to say more about that because she's the one that teaches it. But she has kind of smaller groups and multiple sections of that. But I do think it's a place to go for students who are like, you know what? I really don't connect with the performance piece of music. And that has been really successful, I think, for her to be able to do that. We find that forcing performance is not healthy. So if we have students that don't want to be in that area, we don't want them to then dislike the entire thing. I don't know about you, but I have adult friends who are like, oh my gosh, I hate music because I was forced into doing this as a child. And so that's really hard. So we don't want that to be the end result. So we're hoping to create those opportunities so that doesn't happen. Lifelong love of music, not forcing kids into a smaller box. I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry.
I think that's, and does anyone have any other questions? We really appreciate all your hard work. This, just as a small sample of the work that you guys have been putting in, is amazing. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. And so the second presentation is really focusing on, again, a commitment by the board to address concerns around student mental health and well-being. And so I'd like to bring Catherine Plorg, our Director of Student Support Services, and Guidance Director Karen back to present and give an update on the impact of the school-based behavioral health counselor.
Hi, Catherine Plorg, Director of Student Services.
Shannon Karen, Director of Counseling at the high school.
Thanks for having us tonight. We're really excited to be able to share about some of the great work that's been happening in the district. As you recall, this is a new position for us this year, so we're happy to be able to bring some of that information back to you so you can see where all your great support is being provided for our students. So just starting off with a little bit of the background piece and the description of the position. It was added to the district budget for this school year, and it was really based to provide that targeted Tier 3 intervention and direct services, focused on the individual counseling, wraparound services, student-centered planning, in consultation with the outside agencies within a system of care. And so what was different about this is really thinking about a student and a system of care and a wraparound, not just sort of a really reactive, like what are we gonna do in this moment, but thinking about the whole student and how do we wrap ourselves around that from all of the potential resources that we have. Just a reminder, like we used to have this level of support through community partners and that was cut. It was no longer being provided to school districts. So we went a couple years without this level of support in our schools, and all of our schools felt it. They felt the the lack of supports for families. Of course, this is when COVID was happening, and so the challenges at that point was trying to get students into services, and they really didn't exist. And it's still very challenging to find appropriate services. So the other piece around this is if you ever went to any of the student mental health committee presentations, they're a powerful group. And what do? Is we listen to our students, and our students were saying we need help, and our counselors across the district have other jobs too, and we need other people to help us. And remember, our goal here is to provide support to our students so they're in school. And so you have to manage some of that within the district with providing this level of system of care so that we can make sure that they can come to school ready to learn and have that support within their school day, and not just at 3 o'clock on a Friday when they can happen to get into a counselor. So the purpose of the position was to provide those supports and services to students, parents, school staff, assist in identifying those needs that are interfering with learning, and really the adjustment to school. School is challenging for a number of reasons, and there's lots of reasons why students have struggled with adjustments. So this is a way for us to really work with the students on that, focusing on those personal, emotional, and social difficulties so that the students can find successful in that school environment and learn some really valuable skills that they can take with them. Like, this is something that we're doing some skill building so that they are learning these valuable things to take with them when they leave Oyster River. Provide school-based therapy and collaborate with outside support services. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And then the wraparound model for our team. So we really are having a team approach versus an individual counselor approach. And working closely with those school counselors, school psychologists, our LADAC, who is a critical part of the team, and then administration, of course.
So the intended, I have to raise this. Intended outcome is really to focus on social emotional wellness, growth, supporting school engagement, increase school attendance for those who may be struggling with coming to school and attending school, and ultimately then supporting students' academic success throughout their high school career. These are student-led meetings. They are goal-oriented, but the students are setting their goals and they're focusing on what are the areas that they want to work on and what are the areas that they feel that they can find small successes in. And in each week and in each meeting, they talk about those goals and they talk about how things are going. And so there is a lot of individual planning and meeting with students and focusing on that whole child, as Catherine had said, with compassion, with encouragement, with a trauma-informed approach, understanding that we all experience things differently and we come from different backgrounds, and so we bring all of that. We bring our stories with us. And so giving a place for students to share their stories, respond to their stories, and learn those skills in then building resilience to work through whatever they might need to without judgment so that they can find success for what that means for them.
Look how accommodating Shannon is. So when we think about the key components of success for our students, and Shannon touched on a few of these, but this is really student-driven, student-led. So this is also a little bit different in terms of that system of care model. Like, we want students to be part of this and driving this. Like, you have to be on board with us. And so you know what's going to work for you instead of us telling you always what's going to work for you. So having that empowerment, finding your student voice, the self-awareness, the self-advocacy, all of these skills, and some of these align with a lot of the social emotional learning curriculum that's being provided in K-8, so with the Open Circle curriculum and the Caring School Community curriculum. Students identifying what they need, developing their own personal goals, the relationships, like building relationships and understanding, how powerful those are and how those can really help students in times of crisis, and then that resilience. And so teaching students that having resilience is great, and there are times when that resilience can really get you through, and there are times when it's too much, and it's okay. And so who are my people, and who is going to help me get through that? So just a little bit about the weekly responsibilities. So right now there's overall case management, and Shannon's going to talk about that. There's the coordinating the system of care, providing care through that wraparound model, collaborating with the outside providers. So there's a lot of outside providers, and what's been really unique and different about this position is the immediacy that these conversations are happening. So our counselor is able to make that contact, get that release from the parent, and start having those conversations. And so because there's a system of care and a wraparound model, we are able to do that in a much quicker fashion, which means better services and more immediate attention for the students. And the agencies, there are some still connected with community partners. We have youth and family services, DBT teams and endurance, which are programs for students. So again, being able to have that contact in the district is also powerful for those agencies, for our students who are in most critical need, so that there is that connection and there's that relationship building that's happening. And then that person is bringing that back to our team. So our school-based counselor is then bringing that back to our teams and sharing that information that needs to be shared. Collaborating with our juvenile parole and probation officers. So being able to make a connection and working around the attendance issues or whatever a student may be going through outside of school. DCYF, of course, is also a critical connection that can be helpful for families. Everyone thinks of DCYF as the agency that's coming in to do harm to a family. Their intent is to really help families. And so by having our liaison that can also work with DCYF, like our goal is to build a more positive relationship so that families can start to see some of these other services as a benefit and a help to them. Collaboration with parents and school staff. The position also requires attendance at a lot of meetings. So multi-tiered systems of support, student study team, tier 2, tier 3 teams, counseling meetings, programming meetings. Programming means for specific classes. So we have a couple classes at the high school where Jill is providing that consultation. IEP and 504 meetings, reentry meetings. So a student exits the system to get some support and services outside of school and then re-enters the system, Jill is also able to attend those meetings and be that liaison. And then any other meeting that we need her at. She's a very busy person. And scheduled and unscheduled student sessions. So of course, when you have this person on staff, you have your scheduled sessions, but there are times in the day when your scheduled session's not going to work and you need that session at 8:30. You need that just check-in in the morning so that you can start your day. Something might have happened the night before on the way to school. So you get that person to kind of help reset you and then get going. And that really helps with attendance and keeping kids in school.
So the current caseload, as stated, it is split between the high school and the middle school. There are set days, but as we know, we can't schedule when a student is going to have a need. And so there are 3 days at the high school currently scheduled, 2 days at the middle school. But our current counselor, Jill, she has developed such strong relationships with students that in such a short time that students are seeking her out even on the days that she might not be in the building. So there are many times where there might be a consult call that we're calling to her to check in or even just make that connection. A parent might reach out and say that they really need to talk to her, so we're getting in touch with her at a different building. Or she might receive an email and then she knows she needs someone up at a different building to then check in with that student. So there is a lot of crossover because she is split. With the meetings aren't always scheduled on those same days, so she's doing a lot of kind of back and forth between the two buildings. So as Catherine said, she is very busy, which is wonderful, but she is going above and beyond really to meet the students' needs and where they're at and just trying to just support them in any way at any time. She, through the SST meetings and being part of, that's the student study team that we have weekly, and that is through MTSS. It's part of our system for looking for where we're reviewing data and student referrals for those who might need interventions or support. Jill attends those meetings and she offers her services that way and through consultation, but then also continues to get referrals through those meetings. So we do see that her caseload is continuing to grow. We actually have one this week that we are also talking about as well. So it's fluid still.
Oops. So just in terms of some data collection that we're participating in. So overall, when you look at introducing programming, you want to know how is it working, right? So some things that we've put in place, and when you're doing this kind of work, it's sensitive work. So the data that you're collecting really has to be student focused, and you can't use an overall measure like the YRBS necessarily, because you're looking at a really targeted group of students. Now remember, it's a caseload, and so we've identified the 28 students at this point. There are other students who certainly need this level of service. So starting off with we have a pre, mid-year, and post-student surveys. And this is getting back to what Shannon talked about earlier, this is where the students are filling out these surveys, parents, and they're setting their goals. And so once you have that initial baseline survey, that is then repeated for mid-year and for end of year. So we can track that progress over time because it is student-driven and goal-driven. So the students create those goals. We measure them at interval points. The students have been buying into their interventions, and the more they increase their buy-in, they develop more robust goals. So they're not just done, like, okay, I'm doing really well with this goal. They are then setting more challenging goals. So this is really part of the process. At the beginning of that time, certainly the pre-survey starts with that consent from parents. We identify that baseline regarding social emotional well-being, stress management, executive functioning, and then identify an adult in the building. This is also really important. So who is somebody in the building that student feels comfortable connecting with if they need to connect with somebody? That's a huge part of doing trauma-informed work and having that system of care, is making sure that we do have an adult for each student. The mid-year survey, which the process had started as we were putting this presentation together. So certainly 4 out of 6 students identified progress in 4 of the areas that they have identified, and 2 out of the 6 had identified progress in 3 of the areas they identified. So they're making good progress. And again, because we're able to provide that system of care in the wraparound model, there's the time to give to the students so that they are actually building skills, and they're reviewing that information with Jill and potentially other counselors as they go through the process. The other data that we're looking at, of course, is attendance, class access. Are they going to class? Are they staying in class? Grades, participation. Are they in class and participating in a meaningful way that is meaningful for them and learning? And then counseling, nursing visits, and then overall qualitative data. Like, what are teachers seeing in class? Are they seeing a student who's engaged and willing to work in a group? Or are they seeing somebody with their head down and so they're looking like they're maybe not comfortable in class? That's all information that is discussed, again, with a very close group. So these are the benefits we've already seen. That system of care model, like, we're not really treating this Band-Aid approach, like, what are we gonna do for the student today? How are we gonna get them in school? Like, is that gonna work today? Is it gonna change tomorrow? Like, that's how we've been sort of responding to some of this. And given the caseloads of our counselors in general, this was an added thing to try and build some of these plans. And they're still a very integral part of the programming that we're providing, but this now allows a case manager to be part of that. So it really is a change in theory and practice. And the careful coordination of all the stakeholders, the immediate connections with outside providers. I've worked with Jill in a couple of cases, and she is on it that day. We have information. It really has been amazing to see how quickly she can make the connection and get the ball rolling. Sometimes we needed to wait a little bit given schedules and time. Immediate interventions, and then having that in-house professional versus a contracted service has also been great. So having that person in the district, even though she's having to float, she's accessible to the middle school and high school. So if there is an unexpected reentry meeting, she is doing what she can to shuffle her day to get to that. And that has been really helpful, and having that additional expertise to bring to the table. And she's doing some additional work outside of Oyster River too, to bring more to us. So she's connected with other places and doing some trauma-informed programming, certification programming. So she's doing other things to also bring back to us. So what are our next steps? Jill's going to finish completing those mid-year surveys, and then the post-surveys for students who exit. Continue the activities related to indicated purpose and outcomes that I discussed earlier. Review outcome-based data to make sure the decisions are about programming. So that data that she's gathering and then informing what are those goals and next steps is is a very important piece to this. And then, as we know, she does have a caseload of 28. So how do we manage the additional students that come our way? And so looking at that very closely, because, there are barriers. There's the schedule, there's the caseload, the individual student need, the response time, the collaboration time, and switching schools hourly and daily. So those are just some very transparent, I talked to you guys about these during the budget process, that we are balancing, and Jill works very closely with the middle school and high school around those pieces, but how do we continue to provide this level of service to certainly students who are in need?
Can I add a comment?
Yes.
I just want to add one point. In adding capacity to be able to add students to a caseload. If we think about MTSS data in general, when we talk about the tiers of support, universal is supports available to all students, is things that everyone has access to and works for about 80% of our population. When we get to tier 2, that's small group interventions, and so those are short-term targeted interventions that students might just need a little bit extra. That works for the additional 15%. Tier 3 is individualized supports. Those are students who need more individualized attention, and this position is a tier 3 support, and we're looking at about 5% in general, typical data, 5% of students in general end up benefiting from an individualized tier 3 support. So if we look at 5% of the high school, that's about 40 students at the high school, and that's about another 30 students at the middle school. If we were to think, how could this potentially grow if we were to use this to full capacity?
And that's a wrap. How about questions?
Thank you both very much. It's excellent.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always excited to advocate for kids. This has been super powerful for me as an administrator, because what's been great about this is having students connect and having families connect with somebody who isn't always an administrator at the table. Like, you need to have that connection with somebody who really knows the business, really understands the students and what they're going through and the supports and resources that can be made available to them.
Could I just say, if you couldn't talk about the impact on the rest of the staff, that, pre and post. So you had all these individuals who were kind of addressing the need prior to this year, and now you've added a resource. What has been kind of the response by people who are part of this wraparound team in terms of, in general?
I can certainly share at the high school that as we were addressing just our department and structuring how we could benefit from this position, because the students who needed additional time would be able to be meeting with Jill. And so we have really shifted and been able to prioritize some of those universal supports. So our counselors are getting in and doing classroom advisory presentations more often. They are doing class meetings, and they are able to meet with far more students number-wise, because they're able to do more universal strategies and supports and additional meetings as well. I imagine that's the case also at the middle school.
Yeah, it is, and that's what they, all the counselors are also joining advisory, and they're much more available to be joining advisory and providing that caring school community curriculum alongside the classroom teachers at the middle school. I think the other thing that has been beneficial is the connection with our board certified behavior analyst, our BCBA, and they are really working as a team too on a lot of pieces. So we're getting the behavioral side and the social emotional support side, which is really that behavioral health. And so we have these two professionals who are also working in tandem. So I see a benefit in terms of what the other students are now able to access with their counselor, because they're not getting pulled for 40 and 45 minutes at a time and potentially missing that class lesson, because we do have more of this individualized support available. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
No, I just, I mean, as I said at the outset, I think this is really important in many ways, but I think from what we've heard through the two different presentations is to see the direct impact in terms of the entire student body relative to how one full-time position resonates and amplifies experiences of students, but also the care of students. And so I think, you know, as we continue to build budgets and assess needs, how does the board certainly play that significant role in terms of allowing us to present options for building staff and programs, and then how that is supported through the budget process, which to me is really important. And I think to Catherine's point in terms of the recommendations for where we go next in terms of expanding the staffing, it's important in year one to see how this really, the immediate effect, and then really to study as we've presented today, impact relative to our shifts in procedures, processes, and protocols that meets the needs, and learn from that before we go forward, and not just jump into saying we need more of this, right? So what have we gained through reflection on this first year? How has it been embedded in providing, I would say, structure to how we meet the needs of students at that level? And then where would we go forward in terms of year two, and how do we really understand impact before we come back to the board in future years? So I think that sense of urgency last year was to really say we have a significant need here. How do we create this position? Now, how do we study the position and understand the impact, and what does it mean for us going forward? So that's terrific. Yes.
I apologize, I might have to pull you guys back up here. A little slow on the processing and coming up with the question. Yeah. One of the things is I'm a little unclear about how a student initially knows to try to access, or how do they end up accessing the behavioral health counselor in the first place? Like what is the mechanism in which they're either identified or they come to you, or how is that working with this position?
Thank you for that question. Our referrals for the behavioral health counselor and for any tier 3 really interventions come through our SST team through MTSS. And so we're first trying other supports. We're seeing if maybe Learning Lab will help. Maybe a weekly check-in here or there with a counselor can kind of help get people, get a student on track. And then as we're monitoring data, we're looking at kind of just how students are doing, or in some cases, a student comes down in significant crisis. And then we as a counseling team will then say, all right, this is someone who we feel as a team needs that higher level of support, needs more. It's really, Jill focuses on weekly meetings, and it's not necessarily just the student's responsibility to make the meeting and to attend the meeting, so there's a lot of outreach that way. And so when we identify the student needs that higher level of support, we're doing that through MTSS. So it's not a self-referral or even really a parent referral. However, a parent may call the school and communicate concerns about their child, and we ask them to go through the school counselor and talk about a check-in with the school counselor. And then as we hear what those needs are, which were some of what was identified in Catherine's slides earlier, there might just be a need that arises. If the student is DCYF involved, if the student is truant, there's been other interventions in place first, and then we refer.
Yeah, there's some areas we identified when we were developing the referral process, and we worked collaboratively, and then we brought this to our counseling teams as well to kind of look at the things that we're looking at in that referral process, and just what Shannon identified. But there's some other key factors to that in terms of Jill's role is social emotional, but there's that academic piece too, right? So we have students who are at risk for dropout, and so why? Like, it's not just because they don't want to do their math work. So helping to get to the why and providing this other wraparound system of care model so that we're really getting to the root of why are they not able to get work done and what is impacting their attendance. And so it's a different look at, let's just change their schedule, and hopefully that works. It really is getting to, let's teach them some skills and build some resilience, have them develop that voice and be part of that process, because that's what they're going to need when they leave us. So, you know, when you hear Dr. Lynn Lyons talk about what works for kids with anxiety or social emotional kind of difficulties, it's teaching skills. It's not accommodating all the time. And I think we find ourselves, because we want to react quickly, how can we accommodate the need at the time? And we're trying to switch that to, like, we have to teach skills and we have to have kids on board with what do you need and how are you a part of that? Because the more we do for them, they're going to leave our school and they're not going to have anything to take with them. And so because we care so deeply about all of our students, and our mission is pretty powerful to engage every learner, that we have to look to how can we also teach them skills so that they have those.
I kind of have a follow-up. Can you just share a little bit about like a person's background or Jill's background? How does she sort of fit that school-based behavioral health counselor role?
So just in terms of, when we looked at the position and developing the job description, we didn't want to isolate it to a specific license or a credential. We wanted to look at what people had for training. Certainly, we're looking for people who worked in social work, in a licensed clinical mental health, school counselors, school psychologists. Like, we were very open to finding the right person. And so what we know is that all of these positions that I just listed do a little bit of all of this. Right? So it really was about the person and their skill set. And what we found from Jill is she had been doing this in another school district. She had been doing exactly what we were looking for, had developed a program, had been working collaboratively. And so we didn't have to build it. She was able to bring it to us and what's your system? Like, how do you operate? Like, learn about us and figure out how to start that roll up. Because when you start a new program, you really need that expertise on how to do that. And she knew just how to do that. So, and again, she's doing continued training and certification programs to be able to bring new initiatives into the school in terms of, like, what's working for our students right now. So we have students who are at our door. We have students that we need to be ready for in 5 years and 10 years. And she's very forward thinking and able to be thinking about what we're going to need to have in place down the road as well.
Thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All set? Okay. There is no financial report tonight from the administrator. Student representative. Surprise.
All right, so a few updates for you all tonight. As Ms. Noe pointed out earlier, the ORHS Scholastic Art Exhibition at the Durham Public Library just took place, and I personally just want to say that it was a truly amazing exhibit and experience being there, put on by Mariah Rosie, Hetty Hodenshield, and Colleen Keeley, who did a remarkable job. This show masterfully represents the creativity of our student body, and I strongly recommend paying a visit to the exhibition when you get a chance, if you are unable to go tonight. There's also a lot of excitement around sports this week, with ORHS's boys basketball just winning their first round of playoffs over Merrimack Valley last night and moving on to quarterfinals, and girls basketball just having their first round of playoffs take place tonight and winning as well. Then in terms of hockey, the girls hockey team has their quarterfinals this Friday at the Whitmore Center, and following that, boys hockey team plays Saturday. Then in other news, recently the Oyster River debate team attended 2 prestigious tournaments, the Newton debate in January, and then more recently the Harvard debate this February. Both Lucy Milutnovich and Addie Bussey competed at Harvard, receiving scores as high as 29 out of 30, and bringing back many valuable lessons and teachings for the team, which moving forward is excited to utilize those strategies and tactics in their upcoming competition on March 22nd, where they will be debating the topic of the benefits of the use of AI in education. That is all for tonight. Any questions? All right.
Just congratulations. Some of your artwork is on display at the library, and it's fantastic. You could feel each one of those paintings, and they were outstanding. So, the Finance Committee. All right, we have no unanimous consent, and our discussion is down to the school board self-evaluation. We, as a board, decided a couple weeks ago or a month ago that we were going to realign our self-evaluation to fit our goals, which are school year goals. And so our self-evaluation would come more at the end of the school year to give ourselves a sense of how we've done, based on the goals that we set for ourselves, which I think was a good idea. We also decided to do a sort of mid-year check-in, which is right now. And I'm just going to start us off, if that's okay with everybody. As I look at the goals, I think we're making good progress on everything that we've set for ourselves. But as I look at the goals, I see that they are much, much different than the types of goals that we have put for ourselves in the past. And so to pat everybody on the back, I just want to say thank you and congratulations. It was not easy to change a process that's been sort of set, and it's not easy to do something that's sort of outside your comfort zone or something that you're not used to. And I think that just based on our progress that I see, the new process has been beneficial to more clearly identify what we mean when we say this is the goal that we want to set. So thank you all very much for being willing to put that work in and sort of step outside your comfort zone. Does anyone like to go next? I do have some thoughts from Renee, because she's not able to be here this evening. From Renee, I've settled into my role in the school board. I've taken an intentional approach to listening and observing, allowing myself to gain a deeper understanding of the community and the history of the board. While I have experience with school board processes and procedures, I recognize the value of learning from those who have been part of this board's journey. I've been mindful, balancing my participation, engaging in discussions when appropriate, while ensuring I don't overtalk. This approach has helped me appreciate the professionalism and collaborative spirit that defines the board. I truly enjoy being a part of the team that models respect, thoughtful decision-making, and a shared commitment to our schools. Moving forward, I look forward to contributing more actively while maintaining this foundation of listening, learning, and thoughtful engagement. And if anyone has any thoughts, it's not mandatory, but will you please go ahead, Denise.
I'll just address the one that I know I spoke a lot about, which was trying to figure out our role in terms of the candidate forum. And I think, we had quite an extensive discussion about it. And I do believe that we landed in the right spot, that having our moderator, Michael Williams, he did, I think, an exceptional job. I thought the forum was really informative. Hopefully, people are able to check it out online and feel like they know the candidates who are running for school board. So I think, I know there was some back and forth in terms of should we have any role, no role, more role, whatever. I appreciated that we had that opportunity to put that as a goal so that we could kind of come to a place rather than just have it like hanging out there. So
Thank you. Anyone else have a thought? Do you have some thoughts? No? Go ahead, Kelly.
I will say I appreciate Renee's comments, because I felt very similar, being quite new into the whole process. This past time frame has really been trying to learn and observe and see where it made sense to fit in and bring up discussion and whatnot. So I kind of echo what Renee has shared as well. So yeah.
I think one of the things that we've seen over the past, for a while with the board, is that we are pretty good at listening generally, and pretty good at listening to another. We do a pretty good job when we disagree with each other. We had a lot of conversations about the candidate forum. Last year with kindergarten, we had a lot of conversation about those, and we stayed very professional and did very well that way, and I enjoy working with this body for that reason, because it's not reactive, it's thoughtful, it's never personal. Everyone is listening to thoughts and ideas and taking that and weighing that against what they're also thinking, and it makes me feel more confident in, as we look at the challenges that are ahead of us, that the body will be well positioned with this group of individuals. We're losing Brian, but that's for the better, right? No, I'm teasing you, Brian. I give you a little hard time. It makes me feel that we are in a good place as a group to continue to serve the district.
Yeah, I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I think we're in a better place than we were a year ago. We have a new superintendent. We have some new positions that are doing very well, just as planned. I think we've done a really good job of weighing and listening to our staff as far as what the needs of the students are. I think we need to do more on listening to administration and the boots on the ground when it comes to making certain decisions, especially the administrative team, because they are the ones that are in it every day, where we aren't. But I think as board members, and it comes up from time to time, not a lot, but it comes up from time to time, where we make decisions based upon our personal feelings and our personal experiences versus the experiences of the district as a whole. And there are a lot of decisions I know I've made in my 8 years that would have benefited me as a parent, but wasn't good for the district. And so I voted no, because, it would have made my life easier and probably would have been less money out of my pocket, but it was what was good for the district. And I think we have to keep that in mind, that we're here fighting for every student in the district, not just ours. And I think we have to make sure of that. I know some of us, not all of us, still have kids in the district, and some of us, the kids will be out of the district soon enough. But I think that's very, very important, that we have to make sure that we are representatives of the entire district, even though sometimes I talk a lot about Lee because I'm the Lee representative. But think of all the kids in the district, especially the ones that are in different situations than we are, ones that are every day wake up with a challenge or wake up with a crisis to deal with. I think those are the forgotten ones in this district, and we can't always think that they don't exist. Because we don't see them on Main Street doesn't mean they don't exist. There's always a kid in crisis. There's always a kid that's hungry. We hear stories of kids that are sleeping under a chair in the corner of a room because it's the only place they feel safe, and that's at school. So keep in mind that that's what we're here for. We're here for those kids, not just the ones that are average or the ones that are above average or the ones that are below average. It's for all of them. And I think we do a good job of that, but once in a while it comes out that we take our personal experiences and not look at it as a whole. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Would you like to say anything?
I just really want to add that I think that is an incredibly important sentiment, because as a student representative, I'm trying to represent what I think of the entire student body, but obviously I can't always be completely unbiased. But I think that's key. That's what's important here is taking our experiences and being able to use the knowledge that we've gained from them, while also acknowledging that is not everyone's experience, and that it's important to be viewing everybody's experience and valuing them all equally. So yeah.
Okay, I think now is as good a time as any to just make note of the fact that this is Brian's last meeting on the school board. And you have been on this school board for almost 10 years, correct?
I think it's like 8.5. I got appointed and then reelected.
We'll round up to 15.
Feels like 20.
Your face looks like 15. I want to say that I come in here as a fresh-faced rookie, and having your guidance and advice, an example to follow on the board was necessary to my success on this board. And I just want to say thank you very much for all the work and time that you've put in, and you care about every student in this district, and you care about the taxpayers of this district, and I think it shows with every single meeting, and so thank you very much. And we have a small gift for you.
Stop with the clapping. Y'all are giving him a bigger head than he already has.
Thank you. It's been a great experience. I've learned a lot from here. I mean, I wasn't working in education when I started here, but I have for the last 5 years completely in education. And I've learned a lot from the administrators here and the staff here. I mean, I look around the room. Let's see, I got Dave, I got Bill, I got Misty, I got Dave, we got Rebecca, I have Shannon. Where'd Catherine go?
She just left her stuff there.
No.
She's coming back.
Well, although Catherine is the only one that has actually called me a name as a board member, and but it was actually my fault, and I apologize. So. But yeah, it's been a great experience. I think I really enjoyed working with Robert and Suzanne. It's been great because I've learned a lot from you guys. On Robert, only in our short time. I know we talk all the time because we go to our regional meetings for administrators, and it's been a great experience. I think this board has done a lot of great things over the last, long before I got here, but there's a lot of things to be proud of here. There's a lot of decisions, curriculum decisions, policy decisions, this building, you really think things through. You're not off the cuff, which I love. I think the fact that sometimes I want to make a decision immediately and you guys slow me down, which is good because now you can think it through and make the right decision. And it's always been rewarding to do that. So I really enjoyed my time here. It's been, it's sad to leave, but my job is just taking me in so many different directions and family issues and everything else. But I'm really, I've really enjoyed my time, and I thank you for, I've learned from every single one of you. Even if we haven't agreed, I've learned from every single one of you. And every person in this district has given me something to take with me to other districts, to share for stories or for experience or what I make. I mean, as administrators, we all know we're problem solvers. That's what we do. And when I problem solve, I always look at situations I've been here and how it works. And it's important to me that every kid is heard, that every kid is has the opportunity to be the most successful they can be. And I think that's because of the strong staff we have here, the administrative staff, the teaching staff, the paras. They're all important parts of this district. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think Oyster River would be as great as it is. And it starts with the board and the support that the board gives the staff. So, Catherine, you're back now. Thank you. I told the story of how you were the only one to call me a name. And yeah. But it was my fault. It was my fault, and I apologized. So.
Should we go into a non-public to hear the name?
It's not that bad of a name. Yeah. So, but really, I do thank you, and especially, Robert and Suzanne for everything you guys do. You're really the backbone of this district, and you're both, the best employees we have here, and just keep it up. I will never forget the support you guys gave me, even outside of here, when I come to you with situations and questions and advice, and you'd always help me out. Sue Caswell used to do the same thing, so I'll never forget it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, and I just want to add, as an incoming superintendent, I certainly have said, and I want to say publicly, how much I appreciate your support and guidance and helping me get oriented and just talking through the history of the district, and certainly to serve as a conduit to the board, especially this summer when we sat down to set the board kind of work plan. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, enough about Brian. Any school board committee updates? Seeing none. We also have time for public comment. Is anyone here for a public comment? Please state your name and what town you're from.
Hi, I am Lauren Selig, and I apologize for the fact that I'm dressed very casually. I'm on medical leave at the moment. So I have two reasons for being here. I'm from Durham, by the way. Well, three. So first is as one of your state representatives and one of the two state representatives who serves on one of the two education committees at the House, I would encourage everybody to make sure you're logging into the House calendar and the Senate calendar and looking at the onslaught of bills that we are facing to dismantle public education. Today, my committee heard a bill to ban books yet again, among other things. So, and vouchers and all kinds of things. So I just encourage people to log in, pay attention, sign in, submit their testimony. Second, Mohammed toured the State House last week or the week before. I was not able to leave my committee meetings in order to go greet them, but I spoke to the head of our tours afterwards, who said that consistently Mohammed is one of the best groups that comes through the State House and that they're just wonderful. So I just wanted to make sure I conveyed that. And the reason why I hustled out of my house to get here tonight is by the time I finally had time to log into the meeting, I was hearing about the presentation about mental health care and everything else. And so, Dr. Schaps, I forwarded you an email already about this, but I just want to let the whole board know, one of the things that I do when I'm not at the State House is I work with an organization called the Elephant in the Room series through the New Hampshire Theater Project. And we have we use a scripted play reading to talk about really difficult topics. And we have a brand new, has not yet been shown to the public, brand newly developed program called Our Kids Are Not All Right. And we're going to be offering showings of this presentation in May. There's a set of dates in May. There is a cost of about $2,500, but we can, as an organization, work on trying to find outside sponsors if necessary. But the format is that first there's a scripted play reading, a brief break, and then a facilitated panel discussion about the topic. And so this one specifically addresses youth mental health, and it's really designed for adults, parents, teachers, and community members who don't get it or who are struggling to get it. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this project is I remember having a conversation with another parent a few years ago who was telling me that I had no idea how hard her struggles were with her very depressed high school student, and that she had that she was alone as a parent in dealing with a very emotionally traumatized teenager. And I looked at her and said, "Are you serious?" And she said, "Yes, I'm serious. My son's in desperate help." I was like, "No, are you serious? You're the only person you know." And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, just so you know, you're really not alone. I can't tell you how many parents that I know where alive at the end of the day means it's a win." And she was shocked because she was convinced she was the only parent going through that struggle. So I think we all are aware that our kids need more help, but I think one of the big struggles we have, and one of the struggles with funding mental health care and everything else, is other people don't necessarily get what's going on. So I forwarded Dr. Schaps the information about it, but I would strongly encourage the board to consider bringing it to Durham. It's an easy program. It takes about 2 hours from start to finish. Our organization will bring in all the panelists, or you can bring in panelists of your own, and it's really just an incredible, very powerful program. We have others about elder care and about first responders, but just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And congratulations, Brian, on getting your Wednesday nights back.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none. The closing actions. Tuesday, March 11th of next week is voting day. We'll be voting on the warrants for the school and the budget, and for new school board members. The voting will take place in Durham, for the town of Durham at the high school, for the town of Lee at the Lee Safety Complex, and for the town of Madbury at the town hall. The ORCSD website has the locations and times for all of those polling places. After that, the new board will meet for the first time on March 19th, and then April will be the 2nd and 16th regular meeting times, regular meeting places. We have taken care of that, and can I get a motion to adjourn? Brian, would you like to also second that motion? Can I have a second, Heather? All in favor? 6 in favor, student rep in favor. Thank you very much.